society, culture, and their interrelationship. So these are the three things today we are going to do. Society is made up of formal and informal institutions. Culture is basically composed of 5 elements with number 1, belief, number 2, customs, number 3, values, number 4, symbols and language. Last but not the least, norm. Science is a belief, and it's a belief opposite to the antithesis of religion. Word normalize or normal is driven from the word norm. Norm is the expected behavior of the society from the individual. So next time, whenever you're posting on Instagram something and you're asking them to normalize this and normalize this, be very much careful what you're asking the society to make it normal, to make it acceptable. How do we really understand on the red signal we have to stop, and on the green signal we have to move our vehicles? Is because it is a norm. It is something that is expected from us. Society needs culture as much as the culture needs the society. Hi students, in the last lecture of sociology, we discussed about sociology as a subject and discipline and its key stakeholders, which is the society, individual, and their interrelationship. And today we are going to discuss the 2 important concepts of sociology, which is society and culture. So we are going to understand what society itself is, and then we are going to understand and dig deep into the concept of culture, and we are going to learn about what culture is not and what culture is, because it's a very much exploited concept in the societies, and we need to understand that what culture actually is, what are its components, and what are the components of the society itself, right? And then we are going to understand what happens when they combine together and how they are interdependent on each that, as I told in the last lecture as well, media and religion are both formal and informal institutions. So collectively, we have total 5 institutions that make up a society, right? So these 5 institutions basically make up a society. So what is actually the basic composition of society is these 5 institutions, which is family, education, media, religion, and globalization. These 5 institutions make up a society, and they are responsible for social order in the society, and these institutions are responsible to control, manage, and shape the future generations. And these institutions' main job is to connect the individual to a wider social system. For example, if the concept of meritocracy is not introduced in the education institution, the students are not able to understand the concept of survival of the fittest. They are not going to understand, oblige, and follow the capitalist and the industrial rules and norms. It is the educational institutions that tells us how you're going to move about into the society. Education system tells us the system of rewards and punishments. It is the family institution that tells us what is acceptable in our society and what is not. The family institution tells us how the system of marriage and how the kinship and blood relationships and how all the relationships in the wider society are facilitated, holding the belief systems and the customs along with the values of that particular society. So basically, the culture is the unique aspect of the society that separates one society from the other. So basically, in a nutshell, like human body needs a soul. In the same course of manner, the society needs culture. So it's infusion of body and soul. It is the soul that distincts one individual from the other. In the same course of manner, it is the culture, the lifestyle, the beliefs, the customs and values of that particular society, that mindset of the society born by that culture that separates one society from the other. Which means that, so basically, the lifestyle of the individuals living in a particular society is actually the definition of culture. And the culture is basically composed of 5 elements, with number 1, belief, which is the foremost constituent of any society. Culture. Number 2, custom. all the theist religions, all the monotheist religions or pantheist religions believe that there is a sacred being. There is some super being who has created all of this and all of these species, and someone is behind this all grand master plan, right? But that being is someone who has never been seen by anybody, never heard by anybody. The holy scriptures that have been descended from the heavens are actually not observed by the people, not seen by the people. They haven't seen the angels or the superior beings getting the message of word of God to the humans. Nobody has seen God. Nobody has seen angels. Nobody has seen the holy scriptures being descended from the heavens to the earths. No, nobody. It is a matter of fact that people only have faith in has to be reasonable. And by reasonable means it has some material reality and it has some evidence, right? Now, does something does something knock in your mind when I say something has to be reasonable? Which are practiced since time immemorial, and the reason of them being practiced is unknown. When they started, We don't know. Why they started? We don't know. For example, I can give you a it is not their religion. In Pakistani societies or in any traditional society, to be very general, you have to understand this. It is a customary practice, not a religious practice, neither its culture of that society. It is something which is passed on from one generation to another generation, and the reason of it being practiced is unknown. And I have studied a lot of books on sociology, and I think this is the best explanation, or I would say a one liner understanding and the holistic picture of values that you will understand. Is value is judging things as right or wrong. So basically, categorizing things, boxing things, labeling things as right or wrong. Judging, and that judgment mostly comes from religion, right? For example, let's understand it by the daily practices that we follow. For example, if a boy is smoking, then we judge him as a bad boy. If a girl is wearing a specific kind of dressing, then we are judging her character by that dressing, right? So we value is assigning a weightage to some act, weight the degree of goodness or badness the people have in their mind according to their beliefs and the religion they follow. They actually categorize things, they assign a certain weightage of goodness or badness to what people's social behavior or their practices. Again, I would say value is judging the things as right or wrong, assigning degree of goodness or badness of any act, right? So different societies have different values, and in different cultures you will see some things are acceptable in one culture and it's completely unacceptable in the very next culture to them. Some practices are accepted in a subculture, culture within a culture, and some practices are, for example, uh, the sects and cults coming from the same religion have same belief, a common belief of religion, but the cults and sects are having different sense of judgment about the same acts being conducted under that religion, and that actually forms divisions, right? So value is the sense of or the judgment of things as right or wrong, assigning a degree of goodness or badness to social practices and social actions of the people. Next, norm. You know, on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, you always go through this term, normalize this, normalize that. Now, what is normalizing? Well, actually, this word normalize or normal is driven from the word norm. Norm is the expected behavior of the society from the individual. So next time, whenever you're posting on Instagram something and you're asking them to normalize this and normalize this, be very much careful what you're asking the society to make it normal, to make it acceptable, to make it socially acceptable. We see plethora of things on digital media and social media that we are asking to normalize it, but is it really the society asking the individual to do this? Because norm is the social expectation of the society from the individual. It's very simple. For example, parents have some expectations from their children. They will behave, they will study, they will work hard. They will, at a very ground level, different families have different norms. For example, in some families, it's a rule that you're not going to go out of the home after 7. You have to be at home at 7. That's a norm of the family. Norms are actually different from one family to another, from one individual to another, and these are called these norms are basically particularistic standards of each family, which are combined together, and their average makes the universalistic standards of that society, of that culture, that is actually makes the lifestyle of people. For example, if I am driving the car in the left lane or in the right lane, it's going to describe in what culture or country I'm living in, right? Because it is actually the norms, the social expectations of that society from me. How do we really understand on the red signal we have to stop, and on the green signal we have to move our vehicles? It's because it is a norm. It is something that is expected from us. When the norms are legally enforced, it becomes law, enforced by the legal system. And if you break a norm, you are not punished legally, but if you break a law, it is a criminal offense against the state, right? So, in the next lecture, by the way, I'm going to explain this norm in very detail, and I'm going to explore its multiple facets to you, so it will be very much potent for you. It's a very basic and important concept for sociology A-level students, actually. All the Cambridge and Edexcel students, norm is very much important, and we mostly see repetitive questions of coming from socialization are actually requiring the explanation of norm in the questions. And that's why I'm going to do only a separate lecture on this topic, norm, right? Next. So, what do we conclude from today is society is composed of social institutions. Culture is composed of belief, custom, values, symbol, languages, and norms. And when they both are joined together, what does it make? A social system, right? And they are inseparable from each other. A society cannot live a body cannot live without soul. And a soul is purposeless without a body, right? So, society needs culture as much as the culture needs the society, and nobody actually knows who came first. It's a riddle that humankind have never solved, because if we see the Giddens analogy, so then we understand if the society comes first, then who are those people in the first place who were actually making the society? And vice versa is, if there is no society, then what is that social space an individual is born in, right? These are the questions that are unsolved in the discussion of sociology, and they actually create a room of discussion and thinking and research for the students who are interested in the subject matter. So, society and culture, when they combine together, they create a social system that in which you and I live, right? And they are inseparable from each other. We cannot isolate these two concepts because, as I told you before, the body without soul and the soul without body are purposeless, are pointless, right?